because
Well,
we're live and we're late.
Well, that's pretty standard. That's pretty standard.
It's standard for you. Like,
No.
you're always like, oh, wait, no, I take it back. You usually get here with like 33 milliseconds to go and like, poof. And here's Nick. And we got 4 people watching us. Oh, you know what we can't do yet?
I was sitting here at 8:55 waiting for the link, which, by the way,
you didn't ask.
You sent at 8:58, so
Yeah,
don't put this on me.
Ask.
Isn't it implied that I need the link?
Yes, it is, but I didn't. You always say, "Hey, I'm ready," and instead you did not do that, and you were just like, "I'm not going to say a word." So there. So then nothing happened. And therefore, oh, wait, we're having trouble streaming to Instagram. If you ended it on Instagram, this is expected. Well, of course, it would be trouble to stream it if you ended it. Yeah, I was going to say, we have the opportunity to go live on Instagram, but it's not working. But we're live everywhere else that matters.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, follow me. Don't follow me on Instagram, obviously, because it just ain't working. But one other thing that, I will admit that I got home a little bit late today because work was a long day. I finished the intro at 5:53. And
that's 8:53 to my friends that are watching.
Yeah, I don't care about your friends. So, wait, remove this destination from the show. I'm removing Instagram. All right, Instagram is gone. Everything else is working. So, all right, now we have 8 people here. We have 12 people here, and I have an intro. You ready?
Yes. All right, let's do it.
I mean, it's not great, but it's just an intro. Cover to Covered is a podcast that features 2 idiots talking about music at length, and occasionally a dog does make an appearance. There will also be special guests from time to time that will show up, and they will be smarter than the hosts. And the hosts will give their opinions. By the way, they are exactly that. Opinions. They are not truths, they are not fallacies, and they do not reflect the views or opinions of their employers or those they employ. So with that, just enjoy the damn show. And we're back. Hey. All right. So we got a lot to go through. We haven't been on in like 2 months. We had a couple of starts and stops. We had a couple of NAMs. Well, we had a full NAM.
Full name for one of us.
Yeah, full NAM. Well, actually, it wasn't full for either of us, to be honest with you. I was there for like a day, and then I went back for another day because I had a dinner. Yeah, a lot's happened over the past couple of months. And a lot's happened in the past week. And a lot's happened in the past day.
Yeah, the past 5 hours.
Yeah. So let's start there and say Slayer is back.
Didn't see that one coming.
Did not see that coming in a million years.
Did you see that coming? Because for those that don't know, Mike has a little bit of the inside scoop when it comes to the Slayer camp.
Yeah, but I to be honest, I haven't spoken with him in a while. And, but I mean, I still know a lot of people that are in that inner circle. And it was shocking when I saw that, like, first thing this morning. I'm like, So, yeah, the mighty Slayer is back for what seems to be currently 2 shows. Who knows what's going to be following this, but they're going to be a headliner on 2 different festivals. They're going to be a headliner at Riot Fest in Chicago in September, and then right after that at Louder Than Life in Louisville, Kentucky. Both of these are huge festivals.
Huge.
Especially Louder Than Life. I mean, that thing is tremendous. Riot Fest is huge. I've been to one. It was the sloppiest one ever, like my feet were sinking 6 inches into mud as I was walking through the festival because it
Sweet.
was pouring rain. Yeah, oh yeah, that was my first and last Riot Fest. It was god awful weather, and yeah, so I really didn't have a good experience. Of course, it was sunny like the day before and the 2 days after, or whatever it was. But you know, the one day I went, which was ironically to see, well, not ironically, but coincidentally to see Slayer. Yeah, so they're playing 2 shows, and I am mystified by that because I, in a million years, would not think that they would ever get back together. Not for any other reason except that I didn't think Tom wanted to do it anymore.
It didn't seem that way. And even, you know, for those that are up on their metal, Carrie released that solo, well, the song from his solo project.
Yep,
just
which
a couple.
is very good.
Amazing. I mean, it picks up where Slayer left off.
Yeah.
Mark from Death Angels singing on it, Phil Demmel on guitar, and of course Paul Bostoff of Slayer and Testament and on drums. And yeah, I thought it was crushing and really good. And they announced a bunch of shows that he's doing in that
Festivals
project.
as well.
Yeah, and he even said in the big launch with Rolling Stone, they had asked him about Slayer and Tom specifically, and he said, I haven't talked to Tom. That's not in the cards. I mean, obviously there's always a little bit of playing the game when it comes to the press, but because I have to imagine this has been in the works for a little bit, but regardless, I never would have seen this coming. I mean, it seemed like Carrie was extremely focused on the Carrie King band, and I'm really looking forward to that. But I mean, I'm so glad that Slayer will be returning.
Yeah, it's you know, I'm not going to go through the machinations of trying to think why it's happening again. I mean, the only thing that pops in my head is Tom needs money. Like, that's like the one thing that pops in my head. And Carrie's like, well, you know what? This is great press from my solo thing. So sure. All right. You know, but, yeah, that was really like
Came out of nowhere.
bolt. Yeah. In the metal community. And it looks like it's going to be Gary Holt. We'll come back to do these. And Paul Bostoff has been with Carrie even after Slayer. So he's actually the drummer on Carrie King's solo project. Phil Demmel's playing guitar, and Mark Asagita from Death Angel is singing on it. But you know, I'm interested to see both and see what it's like. I mean, I'm sure that Slayer, the musicianship will be there, but Tom has not done this in 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, they're all like 58, 59. Oh, Tom's the oldest. I think he's 60 or 61. So, you know, while we know that as time goes on and as our favorite bands get older, they've conditioned themselves to where that they can actually do this. Yeah. I am curious to see if Tom can do it, you know? And because again, he hasn't done anything with music in years, anything at all.
And
the other three have.
And let's you cannot over exaggerate how hard it is to play Slayer songs. I mean, you can't just roll out of bed and do that. Whether you're playing bass, whether you're playing bass, drums, singing. Obviously, Tom's singing and playing bass. I mean, it's not easy shit to play.
No, it's not. It's a million beats per minute. It's high intensity. Obviously, it's you need to have as chaotic as it sounds, they repeat that chaos exactly every night. So you need to have a level of musicianship to do this.
And stamina.
And stamina, exactly. And all these guys can still do it because that's what they know, you know. But Tom hasn't done it in 5 years.
Right.
So I am very, very curious to see exactly how this turns out. In fact, my mother just texted me and said, wow, Slayer's back. I kid you not. She literally just texted me that. We were just talking about Carrie. Who we is, I have no idea. Yeah. But it's probably her and my sister maybe, or maybe one of the dogs. I don't know. But yeah, that really came out of left field. And hey, congratulations to them. Congratulations to the fans of metal that get to see Slayer again that may not have.
Yes.
You know, I thought I saw the last 2 shows. I didn't.
I saw them 5 times on that farewell go around because they had
I saw them at
multiple
least 6
lengths.
times on
You know,
there,
it was great every time. You know,
Yeah.
and somebody said that they're like watching. It's like watching a war take place, and that's true. Like when they come out, man.
Well, between the fire and everything else that goes along with it,
and the bodies on the arena floor, and it's there's nothing like it, man. They are one of the greatest metal bands of all time. One of the greatest bands of all time. Period.
I just got another text from my mom, and it's really funny. She just called me a jerk.
She wouldn't be wrong.
Hey. Pasta fazool on you.
Hey.
Well, so that's part 1 out of the way there. I wasn't expecting to talk about that today, but hey. Second thing I want to talk about real quick here at the top is how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm Mike. That's Nick. We got right into it like right away, so we didn't even do our
Slayer's back. That's all that matters.
Slayer takes precedence over most anything else that we're going to talk about in this show. So we may have to abridge our topic for today. No, we're not going to make it a whole show about Slayer. We can't. No, we can, but it'll be at 180 beats per minute. Yeah. Anyway, I'm Mike. That's Nick. Nick, what store do you own?
Rock City Music Company.
And where are you located?
5 Mile in Farmington.
And where can we find you?
RockCityMusicCo.com and all social media platforms.
And what color is your underwear?
Blue.
Blue. Very good. That was what I was going to guess.
Yeah, it's a good guess.
That is the correct answer. That is the correct answer. Number 1 answer is blue. So congratulations for that. We're going to talk a little bit about Record Store Day. I'm not prepared to go full depth, but I'd like to talk about it because the list dropped. And
also came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was like, oh, there it is. Okay, thank you.
Well, you know what was really strange this year is normally we, as a participating store and other stores that participate all over the world, it used to be that like we saw the list on Monday and then the public saw it on Wednesday, let's say. It was like we had a little bit of lead time. But this year it was like, boom, the distributor sent the list, here it is, and like 20 minutes later, Record Store Day posted it. So immediately started getting messages and phone calls about stuff. But it was odd that they did it that way this year.
Yeah, I just like, oh, there it is. Like, list. Right. Here's the list. Don't tell anyone. All right, tell everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's out. There's some good ones. There's some good things on this list. It's long.
You got to do some digging.
You do have to do some digging because I think it's 388 titles on this year's list. It's not a small list.
No.
That's more than in the past couple of years, in fact. But some of the highlights for me, I saw that they have a Beatles 3-inch player and Beatles 3-inch records coming out, which I probably will not buy, but it's cool that they have that. One of the things that got me really excited was the South Park live album.
Yes.
They did this, last year or the year before? It was a couple of years
ago.
2 years ago. And Trey and Matt got some of their friends from Ween and Primus and Alex and Getty from Rush, and they play like all the greatest, basically, South Park hits and Closer to the Heart.
and a couple tunes from Team America, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's all the Trey and Matt hits. It's it covers all that. And then they play Closer to the Heart with Rush, basically, with Matt on drums, which is very, very interesting. And Matt's like in his, I think it was his birthday, too, or something like that.
Yeah.
And it didn't even look like, he didn't look like, I saw a video of it, he didn't even look like he was prepared for it. Like, he's like, I'm doing this, oh my God. And he's like smiling the whole time. And I'm like, yeah, that's where it's at. They did a pretty good job of it, so good for him. What else I see on there? There's another Last in Line by Dio coming out on picture disc. Again, every year there's another Dio album, but what there isn't is a Motorhead album.
No, there is one.
There is? I did not see it on the list.
Yeah, there's a live tapes again, like volume 5, I think.
How did I miss that? Because I looked at it twice. I'm like, why is there not a Motorhead album? Not like I'm a huge Motorhead fan, but I'm just used to seeing it every time. There is, of course, a Jerry Garcia Band live album, another 82 LP box set, along
a Grateful Dead set,
500 album Grateful Dead set. The concert's still going. They're still actually making the albums as they finish the songs. So I'll be going out and not buying either of those.
I already got you marked down for both.
Oh, hey, great, thanks. I want 2 of each.
I was happy to see David Bowie make a return this record store day. He took the last few off, and this title
he's currently dead. So,
but his estate was jamming stuff out on record store day. There was one a couple years ago that there was 4 David Bowie releases. But this one is really something cool for the classic rock fans out there, or just David Bowie fans. This is an original version of what would have been Ziggy Stardust, with some songs that weren't and didn't end up being included on the final product, a couple different mixes and stuff. So this is how Bowie originally had Ziggy Stardust, the album, laid out about 4 months before it came out. And then obviously as he did more recording, things changed and he put some different songs on there. But I'm really looking forward to hearing that. I think that's a really cool release. Good.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny, like some of these things are very cyclical, right? Some of these bands come in and out, that's why, again, going back to the whole, like, I guess I missed the Motorhead thing. I was so used to them being on it, but you're right. Bowie hasn't been around the past couple of years. Again, currently dead. But he's hoping to make a comeback real soon. But it's a full LP. So, it's not like a 7-inch. It's not like a 12-inch single or anything. It's actually a full album, which is great. And it's an RSD exclusive. So you can only get it on Record Store Day from Record Store Day stores.
Yep.
And it looks like, according to this, it's not a small exclusive. It's 8,000 pieces. But again, as we always say, what's the deal with Record Store Day and the amount of stores that participate and how many albums? Go for it.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to break it down
again?
To
explain that, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there's like I don't remember the last count I saw, but it's like something like 350 or 400 stores, if not more, in just the United States. And when you start talking about artists like David Bowie, we're all going to order that, So 400 stores, if we all order 10, 15 copies, we're at 8,000 very fast. Is the best way to put it. And you have some stores, like let's say Amoeba by where Mike is, one of the biggest, most recognizable record stores in the world. They're getting 300 copies of that. They're not, well, they're going to order 300 copies. They're going to
order 300, yeah.
And they might get 150. But the point is that there's other stores that are significantly bigger than a store like mine, and they're going to be over ordering products. So the way the allocations work and things, you think 8,000 is a lot, but it's not when you think about the artists that are involved.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, let's talk about, like, Taylor Swift would have like 20 or 30,000. They're gone in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
A heartbeat. She didn't have one this year.
Nothing. No, but her brand new record comes out the day before, so you might as well call it that. It's part of the day. That day
it's
before
part of the weekend.
That day before Record Store Day, and we're not even to the 6 weeks out of when that release date would really be pushed.
We're 8 weeks out right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So when you get on regular releases that come out on Fridays, we're not even 6 weeks out when you usually hear about that stuff. And already we have the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon reissue of split on 2 LPs, single-sided 45, with the triangle that is printed from ultraviolet or something, and floats underneath the record while it plays. That's coming out on the 19th. The new Taylor Swift and the new Pearl Jam all come out the day before Record Store Day. So
Pearl Jam has a new album. Everybody in their 40s is going, yay.
And there's a version of it coming out for Record Store Day.
There is. Yeah, that's on there. This just made me laugh. Eric Carr has another album coming. I mean, this guy is he's dead. He's been dead like 30 years. And I'm not saying this, like in a bad way against Eric Carr, but the guy played drums in Kiss for 10 years and he's had more albums come out since he's been more than 20 years dead.
Eric Carr is the new Tupac.
Yeah, essentially, except Tupac could, well, I'm not going to get into it. I mean, Eric Carr's fine. I don't know about him as a songwriter.
Yes, the stuff's good. The one that came out last year I thought was really enjoyable. If you're a Kiss fan, you like his stuff. I mean,
it's okay. I mean, he could sing.
Yes.
He's got a great voice, and he's a very good drummer. Arguably the best drummer Kiss had.
Arguably.
Yeah.
Don't pick that argument with me.
Listen, because you're going to say Peter Criss, and I'm going to go, not.
Yep.
You're so wrong.
Let's talk about, no, hang on though.
No.
Before we go any further,
with,
we're not going to talk about Kiss. We're going to talk about the greatest release on Record Store Day. And I want to know if you already know what I'm talking about. We haven't had this discussion before, but there is one record that is far and away the most greatest thing coming out on Record Store Day.
All right, not the Nightfall of Diamonds by Grateful Dead.
No, it's not that.
And I'm assuming you're not talking about the GBI 7-inch.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Although I am looking forward to that, but no, that's not what I'm talking about.
You need to mark down one of those for me, though there's like none available. But
yes.
You know what? I probably saw it. I probably laughed at it. And I don't remember, but is it Randy Macho Man Savage's follow-up to
No, but it's on the same level of importance. Ladies and gentlemen, coming out for Record Store Day, being reissued for the first time ever, Joe Pesci's solo album from 1968.
Yes, that's right. I did see that, and I need that.
To me, you can't order enough copies of that. Are you kidding me? Joe Pesci singing Beatles songs?
Little Joe sure can sing.
Long before he was Joe Pesci. Come on, that is a must own.
Well, Joe Pesci was a singer. He started as a singer. But I mean, I've heard these, and his version of Gotta Get You Into My Life is hysterical, because imagine like hearing him like, you motherfucker, you gotta get you into my life. Like, that's like basically it. It's like Tommy D from Goodfellas singing the Beatles.
Yeah.
It's hysterical.
I love it.
So funny. But I mean, he can sing. He can sing. He's had more than one album.
Yeah, but this is like the rare.
This was the first one.
Yeah.
The very, very first one. It came out, forget, in the 60s or 70s?
68.
Like
68.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then, like, he had another one, like LaGuardia something. It's like three, like, stereotypical Italian names was the title of the album.
LaGuardia, Mozzarella, and prosciutto.
And prosciutto. I got the prosciutto. I'm being told my volume is low. Well, let's fix that. I'm just
Gotta be right up there with William Shatner sings. No, it's better. It's Joe Pesci.
Yeah, and William Shatner never sang. He
just talked.
It was spoken word with music behind it.
He was like the original Bob Weir.
Bob Weird.
Yes.
Let's see.
But come on, I'm gonna
Stephanie, tell me if the vocal is better now. Tell me if the vocal is better.
I'm gonna put everybody down for a copy of Joe Pesci Sings.
I need one. So yeah, it'll probably be like $50 too. It'll be like the most expensive release on Record Store Day, like ever, for a single album. Let's see what's all right. Let's go through all the tracks on this. A track called Holiday. I don't know what that is. Gotta Get You Into My Life. Stop and Say Hello. To Love Somebody.
The Bee Gees song, right?
I don't know.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
They recorded that in the 70s, unless they wrote it and he sang it first in like 68. I thought
I'm saying people would know it as the Bee Gees song. I don't know if they did it first, but
I don't know if they did. If they did, they wrote it for him. Fixing a Hole. And let's see what else. Fixing a Hole, No More in Life, Let's Stop Fooling Ourselves, Born to Be Blue. Oh, the Fool on the Hill. Forgot to mention that one. I skipped that one. And The Sun Will Shine. Well, you go, Joe Pesci.
Hey.
Listen, you put my fucking album in your fucking store.
So good. Come on. There's nothing else needs to even be discussed off that list than that record.
Yeah, we're done. And that was Record Store Day. Now that to me, I saw that. I did see that. And man, that's so great. Let's see what else we got on here that are some highlights. 20th anniversary of Splinter by The Offspring.
Don't need to count me in on that one.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't buy it anyway. Oh, the Monkees do have yet another album on Record Store Day.
Another
They
mono
love Record Store Day.
Another mono reissue from Friday Music.
And let's see. Oh, Sweetheart to the Rodeo.
Again?
50th anniversary live.
Oh, I was going to say the 50th anniversary. That was a couple years ago.
Yeah, well, it's the live album of the 50th anniversary. Meat Puppets. Dolores O'Riordan.
There's a Mudhoney box set.
A box set?
Yes.
Wow. Mr. Big.
They're another one that loves Record Store Day.
Yeah, and well, they're actually, I think they're doing their final tour. I think they announced they're doing their final tour, and therefore this is called The Big Finish.
It was just
Lean into it live. So
it was just here last night.
Yeah, I think they're done after this. Probably because Eric Martin can't hit any of the notes anymore. I don't know. Not that I would know. I hadn't seen him. Let's see. Oh, Lovejoy has a split 7-inch vinyl. One Day on one side, Sex Sells on the other side. G Love and Special Sauce. Lil Wayne.
There you go.
Little Richard. All the Lils. There's Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Peep, Lil Wayne, Little Richard. It's Year of the Little. Let's see. John Lennon came back and re-recorded Mind Games again.
I don't know if he re-recorded it. I mean,
well, he did. He did. He came back. But it's just an EP. So
yeah, it's got
on it.
It's got 4 songs from the upcoming reissue of Mind Games, that how they've been doing his catalog one at a time the last few years of what they're calling the ultimate mixes. Yeah, so it's going to be the preview basically of that.
So there's 4 songs. There's Mind Games, the ultimate mix.
Yes.
I don't know what that means. Then
I just told you what it means. Are you listening to what I'm saying?
No.
You just fucking totally ignored what I said. I told you what it was.
What is it?
It's the new remix where they're taking the multi-tracks and spreading them out. It's basically what they turn the Atmos mixes into. So these are stereo mix downs of the Atmos stuff.
So this is Mind Games, the ultimate mix, whatever the ultimate mix means. Let's see. I have to thank somebody for telling me to turn up. Turn down for what? See, exactly. Don't want to turn down. You want to turn up. I'm the Greatest. It's a song that features George Harrison and Ringo Starr, another ultimate mix.
Yep. He wrote it for Ringo.
Here. You Are Here. Outtake, take 5. Well, what happened to 1 through 4?
That'll be on the box set that you have to buy.
That'll cost like $8,000.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else? Elton John, Caribou 50th Anniversary Edition. Live album from Iggy and the Stooges, but it's from 2005.
Yeah.
So
reunion era Iggy and the Stooges.
Yeah, so it's like, well, whatever. I don't know if that's worth.
We got to wrap this up. We're going to have to do an episode on Record Store Day. Our audience doesn't want to hear about everything twice.
Yeah, they do. Oh, again, Jerry Garcia Band. It's 600 LP box set. Still being recorded in the coffin.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
Nightfall of Diamonds. Nightfall of Diamonds is a great release.
I'm sure it isn't. So we won't be talking about that. When we do our full episode, we'll do that, which will probably be in a couple of weeks anyway. So, great. So, what are you listening to right now?
Got a couple things. First off, if you watch this show, you know Mike and I are both big on the Atmos, Dolby Atmos mixes, and recently released Paul McCartney and Wings Band on the Run 50th anniversary in Atmos. Count me in. Been playing that a bunch. Love
Atmos
it.
mix, whatever that is.
Yeah, right. Like
oh,
Mike doesn't know.
I prefer the ultimate mix.
So that's great. And then, of course, the brand new record from my friends in Blackberry Smoke, Be Right Here, that came out last week. Another barn burner from them. Very eclectic. This one's a little Brit. Yes, exactly. This is a little bit more accessible, I think, than some of their previous records. But
it has a wheelchair ramp.
Yes. Yes, it
Is
does.
handicap accessible?
Yes.
Okay, good.
But very great songs, great playing, and they teamed up with Dave Cobb again, who's making a huge name for himself as a producer. He's done the last couple Chris Stapleton records and Sturgill Simpson records, and this one's great. And if you want to pick up a copy, you should pick it up from Rock City Music Company.
Where is that?
5 Mile in Farmington in Livonia, Michigan, or rockcitymusicco.com. We'll ship it right to your door.
There we go.
And if you do a huge LP order, we even have shop pay where you can split it into 4 payments.
Ooh, so
that
you
everyone
can split
loves.
the album up into 4 payments.
Well, if you do a big order, like how people will go, oh, I guess I need this and this and that. I think the threshold is like $50 or maybe $100.
Okay.
Or you could do that with a guitar too if you want, or multiple items.
Yeah, why don't you get a record, a guitar, an amp, the rest of his store, and a couple of Funko Pops?
There you go. Yeah, we'll ship it right to your door, and you can pay it in 4 payments.
There you go. Somebody asked, what are Roger's top 5 albums, and why is Rush not one of them? Well, the answer is he does have a top 5. It's all Rush. And that's why we're not bringing him on, because he really just front-loaded everything with Rush.
His number 1 is the Signals 40th anniversary box set.
Of course, because there's a dog on the cover peeing. So it works.
Yes.
So you're listening to, what else are you listening to? Anything else good?
Those are the only 2 I want to mention. I should say the Atmos mix of the Who Quadrophenia that came out is pretty solid as well.
Speaking of coming out, what else is coming out this Friday?
Okay, well, we have, I know some people are anxiously awaiting the new Mick Mars solo album. That's been, I couldn't bring myself to say it. But
You choked up by Mick Mars releasing a solo record.
It's
unbelievable. I can't believe it.
I mean, it's not something I had on my bingo card of things I wanted to hear, but that's coming out, and I know people are excited. There's also a new Vault release coming out from Prince, stuff that was recorded between 1985 and 1994. It's never been released on vinyl, so that's coming out. And then, of course, the big thing that's coming out that I know everybody's excited about is Ace Frehley's brand new solo record, 10,000 Volts, which I've renamed to 10,000 Variants because there is so many goddamn versions of this record. It's
really
insane. There's
why?
There's 5 available to retail, 3 from Ace's web store, exclusive from Newberry Comics, exclusive from oh god, what's that store in Nashville? Grimey's? I think they have an exclusive. There's 3 UK versions, and there's one coming out for Record Store Day. So already the album hasn't even come out, and there's already 14 variants.
Okay, well, that's odd. And like one is like, well, this is blue and silver splatter, and this one is silver and blue splatter, and this one is Ace silver and blue splatter, and this one is done with just eye makeup, and this one is black, and this one is the I just sued Gene splatter, and this
Yeah, right, pretty much. But here's the thing. Here's what's been great about it. I know Ace's fiance has been doing his social media, and, yeah, it's great because they're trying, they're promoting the record. So she's putting all these videos of Ace out. She put a video out the other day of Ace going and buying a printer that's a must watch. He's like,
is this gonna print on paper?
The guy goes, would you like to buy the the warranty package or whatever? And he's like, no, that's okay. When it doesn't work, I just throw it out. And he's like, how much can I print with the ink refill?
Does it have unlimited print ink refills? I don't want to refill it again. I just want to buy it once. Throw it out and get a new thing of ink.
And then she had him, like, she was following him around in the grocery store, and he's like trying to buy 2 of everything, and she's like, we don't need 2, Ace, put 1 back. He's like, no, I always buy 2 because when I get a craving for something, then I can eat a lot of it.
God.
I mean, what better way to promote your new album?
I mean, look, there's no doubt that he got thrown out of Kiss. Like, he did not quit Kiss. This guy.
Yeah, but he did say, I'm looking forward to hearing this new album because he did say that it was going to make Paul and Gene look like idiots.
I think they do that pretty well all themselves when they go on stage.
Yeah, but he's claiming like it's so good that he's going to be proving them wrong with half the songs written by Steve Brown from Trickster.
That I knew that Steve Brown had a big hand in this one. But hey, I mean, look, that guy is stuck around longer than anybody ever thought. You know, both Ace and Steve Brown. Okay. Let's see. Well, you didn't ask me what I'm listening to, but
yeah,
hey,
what are you listening to? Well, we started talking about new releases. You asked me.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah. All right. So what else? Anything else coming out good? No, that's it. Good.
Those are the
Moving on?
three I
All
pulled.
right, cool. All right. What am I listening to? I don't know.
Oh, that's good. I love I Don't Know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was
They're a
listening
great
to
band.
a lot of. I was listening to a lot of Tool because I just saw them.
Because you're a tool.
And Elder.
There you go. Oh,
Elder.
wait. I do have one more reissue that that needs to be talked about. Van Halen Right Here, Right Now, which came out last Record Store Day, and it was hard to get. It's finally coming out on regular black vinyl, so it'll be more easy to obtain. So if you missed out on that, that will be hitting the bins on Friday.
Yeah, the original one, the Record Store Day version it's 4 LP, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it was red vinyl. And this one is just coming out on black vinyl. So
yes.
For those of you looking to complete the collection, I'm sorry.
You said it.
Look, I bought it because I needed to complete the collection. I still don't have an original of Balance. I have Balance now because I have the reissue and that box set that came out, but I still haven't listened to it.
Yeah. Well, you're not missing out. That's what's good to know.
No, but I can't wait. I'm still stoked on these MoFi Van Halen releases. I mean, that first one, Van Halen, the first album on MoFi, it blows me away. It sounds great.
I still need to get that.
Yeah, you should, because I'm surprised they still have any.
Because everybody's hating on MoFi still from the lawsuit from a couple years ago.
Well, then they better lower their prices and get people to come back.
Good luck.
You know, Nick, this is Gene Simmons, and I actually discovered Van Halen. I'm not sure if you knew this. There's something called the Zero demos, which is like Van Halen 0, Gene Simmons 1. So I obviously won and beat Van Halen. I financed the demo, and then I realized
They're probably still paying
Kiss.
him back for financing that demo. He still gets a royalty.
Oh, of course I do. I own the name Van Halen. I own the A in Van Halen. Both A's I actually purchased. Otherwise, they would just be Van Halen.
I own the A in Van Halen.
And I also purchased the N, but I leased it back to them at no charge. Because
I'm such a great guy.
Well, the A's they pay me enough for. Otherwise, it would be just like Van Hale.
Did you see MoFi already put out a statement, though, that they moved Women and Children First, Diver Down in 1984 already all got moved to 2025.
Well, what about Fair Warning and Van Halen 2?
Well, they're implying that those will be out this year, but there's still
Which
no
is
release
weird
date.
because that throws it all out of whack as far as the order goes, unless they're only releasing Van Halen 2 this year and then next year Women and Children First and Fair Warning.
Yeah.
Which is entirely possible. I mean, we're already in February. There hasn't been a word about any of those coming out.
Yeah, but with Analog Productions doing the Steely Dan UHQRs, they've done those out of order.
Yeah, but with Steely Dan, I understand why. Asia was such a huge album. Why wouldn't you want to front load and get some extra money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, that came out before other ones are done. I get it. Fair Warning is probably the least selling Van Halen album, though it's probably the best Van Halen album.
It's
In
my
fact,
favorite.
It is the best Van Halen album.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about our top 10 soon. But it's just weird to put those out of order. And Fair Warning is like the shortest of all of them. Like you blink and it's done.
Well, yeah, it is an odd choice for a cut at 45 2 LP set. I mean, because you're gonna be flipping the LP every
Oh, every 2
6
songs.
minutes. Every 6 or 7 minutes. So hang on. I want to make sure that I don't have. No, I had it right. Yeah. Van Halen's Women and Children First, Diver Down in 1984. To lessen potential frustration with release delays, we have temporarily removed them from our site since they are not slated to be released until the first half of 2025.
All right, well, let's go to Mobile Fidelity and take a look and see what is up there. So we'll see vinyl, Ultra Disc. There are Ultra Disc 1 steps. So let's take a look. And let's see. Vinyl, Ultra Disc 1 step, all artists. No, we're going to go to Van Halen. All right. Yeah. Van Halen 2 and Fair Warning are titled Coming Soon. I mean, no dates, of course, just coming soon. But yeah, you're right. And they did remove the others. The other 3 are not even on their website now.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, that's definitely odd, but you know, whatever. It is what it is. But I can't wait for those to come out. They sound so good. So yeah, I mean, again, I've been listening to that Van Halen MoFi. Just a lot. Oh, and I was listening to the Let It Be box set. I bought it. I got it. I hadn't opened it. And not because of any other reason, except I just hadn't gotten around to opening it. I have like 3 other copies of it. It's probably my favorite Beatles album.
Really? That's an odd choice for favorite Beatles
I love
album.
that album. Again, our top 10 picks are coming up really soon.
Yes.
There's reasons why, and we'll talk about that probably. But anyway, so that's what I've been listening to is that as well, and the outtakes from that, which are all over the Get Back documentary and things of that nature. You know, and then there's like there in that box set is Let It Be, the Get Back album, and then the outtakes as well. So it's like it's all these different albums that are in that box set. Really good box set, and you could find it fairly inexpensively on sale right now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to get into it. People ask Nick and I, well, you do this show and you talk about all these different things and all these different albums and all these different lists. Like, what are your top 10 favorite albums? And so Nick was like, you know, we should do a show about that. And I said, all right, why not? So we are. And some people have actually submitted on Facebook their top 10s. We got a couple of emails and we'll read those as well. Nick, a lot of them are on your page that submitted in the, and then one of my cousins actually submitted like 15 to 20 of his favorite
lot of people,
albums.
which was funny because I even said yesterday in my post in promoting this that it was so hard to pick 10, and like it's very difficult to size it down to that. And then I'm getting all these comments of people leaving 15, 20 records. It's like, yeah, I could do that as well. But getting it down to 10 is a bitch.
It's really hard. And then on top of that, trying to pick 5 of those that we want to kind of embellish on. I don't have an order.
Okay.
It's just, I don't have an order. I just have ones that I like more than others, you know? And so I'm trying, like, as I'm looking at this pile of records that I have here, you know, it's hard for me to say like, well, this is my absolute favorite album because that's today. You know, like just like anything else, like I have my favorite movies as a top 5, but it rotates, you know? So
yeah, my top 3 are interchangeable depending on the day. It could be my favorite. But yeah, you're right. I did put them in order based on how I feel right now. So I'm pretty confident up until the top 3.
Well, let's start it off. We'll start with you, and let's go. Since you have an order,
okay.
Let's start with your number 10 and see where you're at.
Okay, number 10. Oh, I should have taken these out of sleeves because they're going to reflect.
It's not that. Oh yeah, you have the ring light, so that might do it.
Yes. So we'll start with this one here. Blackberry Smoke, the Whippoorwill. This is when I first discovered the band. This is actually their 3rd record, but to a lot of people, this is their 1st.
And their 4th album is called The Whipper Won't.
Right. But this record is, and it's signed. I got this signed by the band the first time I saw them. So it's pretty funny now looking back that I stood in line to get this signed.
Nick is friends with the band at this point. So
yes,
like literally very good friends with them. So
yes, but this record just front to back, it's got all their classic tunes, and I love its how eclectic it is. There's some acoustic songs on here. There's some heavier rock songs on here. It's got a little bit of everything, and I think it really showcases the band. This record just celebrated its 10th anniversary, so it's my number 10 and definitely my favorite Blackberry Smoke album.
Happy birthday to your album. This is not in my top 5. I would not put this in my top 5, but it is my favorite Led Zeppelin record. Led Zeppelin's in my top 5 bands because Led Zeppelin.
Yes.
But it's because of the body of work, not for any one particular album. I'm a really big fan of Presence, and I was going to put that in there, but I thought about it, and just the breadth of styles that are on Physical Graffiti, really, I mean, this is, 2 albums that are chock full of no filler,
Yes.
really, except for like that one Richie Valens cover tune they do, which is kind of weird, but whatever that Boogie with Stu.
Boogie with Stu.
Boogie with Stu, yeah.
No, Boogie with Stu is that's called that because of Ian Stewart. Talking about Black
It's not
Black Country Woman?
No, what the hell is it called? Stand by.
Hang on, I'm gonna run over and shut this light off because it's driving me insane.
Shut the
one behind
light
my,
off.
My
Shut
shoulder.
the front door. I thought it was Boogie with Stu. Because it was a Richie Valens song. I don't know who Stu is. They said he's saying Ian Stewart. I don't know. But anyway, I'll just kill time because it's fun. Now I got to look through both sides of the record and see exactly.
You still haven't figured this out?
No, it is. It's Boogie with Stu, but it says Mrs. Valens
Oh,
is one of the
okay.
writers.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
I
they
think Richie
probably.
Valens-
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
So they had to credit her because he was dead at the time. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, everything on this album is done very, very well. This is, I think, to me, Physical Graffiti is like the pinnacle of the production arm of what Jimmy Page did, really using the studio to their advantage. And also the artwork's really cool. You can pull out like things and, the album art, that was like ahead of its time. That really didn't. That was like the best thing since the banana from the Velvet Underground,
Yeah. But way better because it's not the Velvet Underground.
Exactly. But yeah, so, but songs like In the Light contrasted against something like, In My Time of Dying, like In the Light is kind of like that uplifting, very long uplifting song, but then like In My Time of Dying is like a very bluesy, dark song in a lot of ways.
And also super long.
And also longer. It's 11 and a half minutes. And then
if people put a gun to my head when we talk about John Bonham drumming, that may be his defining moment. It is on In My Time of Dying.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Unbelievable drumming.
Yeah, I mean, you could talk about Moby Dick all day long, but In My Time of Dying, his fills like kind of going along with that, and he's just playing just slightly behind the beat and crushing it. And and a couple of times when he does those really fast fills, you're like, yeah, because they're perfectly timed and they're just angry as all get out.
Yep.
So yeah, and of course we have Kashmir. Everybody knows Kashmir. That's on Physical Graffiti. The song "Houses of the Holy" was cut from the album "Houses of the Holy" and then put on Kashmir. So it's funny. It's like the leftovers are still great songs that are on here. Because there are several songs that are on this album that were supposed to be on other albums.
Yep.
That's why they made it a double album. They were able to do that. So anyway, that's in my top 10. That would be in my lower 5 of my top 10. So
Great pick. It's hard to pick one Led Zeppelin record. I had to do it too. And I'm just spoiler alert. There's no Beatles in my top 10 because I couldn't settle on just one Beatles record. So
there's Beatles in mine. So I took care of that for you.
There we go. Number 9 is one I don't have a physical copy of to show because it's at the store framed up in my office. Number 9, you've heard me talk about it a million times on this show. As Mike likes to refer to it, Bob Williams as Fred, Butch Walker as Glenn. without a doubt, it's for sure the newest thing on my list. Only a couple years old, but man, I don't go a week without listening to that record. I think lyrically just outstanding, sound quality, recording quality wise, it's just outstanding. And if I will continue to jam that record in front of people's faces because it should be celebrated among the best singer-songwriter records of all time. So if you haven't heard it, buy it, because you should be supporting this kind of artistry. But even if you don't want to buy a physical copy, stream it, because it's a fucking unbelievable album.
Yeah, Bob Williams needs all the help he can get. I mean, nobody's heard of Bob Williams, mainly because he's Butch Walker. But, but Bob Williams, he's going to be big one day.
Yes.
Or maybe even on Tuesday. No, it's look, I've listened to it myself because of your recommendation, and Butch Walker's great. I mean, the guy is an amazing producer. He's an amazing songwriter. I mean, everything from the Marvelous Three to producing Taylor Swift, you know, like you don't get called into those sessions unless you kind of know what you're doing, you know, and somehow he still wound up in your store for a live in store. He's like, I went from Taylor Swift to this.
Yeah. To Goldfish.
Jeez. All right. Moving on. This is half a joke and half not a joke.
Okay.
Nick and I have, and Goldfish for that matter, have an unhealthy infatuation with a particular singer. And even through all the joking that we do about him, the guy knows how to write songs. His brother knows how to arrange bands and music.
Fuck yeah.
And that would be Gino Vanelli. And Brother to Brother is such a great album. And not just because he just wants to stop. That's
just one of the things he wants to do.
That's just one of the things he wants to do. He also wants to take you on his Appaloosa and do other things to you, I guess. But I mean, this album, Appaloosa, is a great tune. It's a stupid name for a tune, but I mean, from like for those of you that just know the Gino Vanelli hits, like I Just Want to Stop and Living Beside Myself, you know, I love those songs.
Another great one. Yeah.
Yeah. They're great songs. The fact of the matter is, if you listen to not the B-sides, but like the album cuts, there's a lot of great fusion music in there, like jazz fusion, upbeat jazz fusion with different flavors, some Latin flavor in there too. This band, especially on this album, is incredible. So the musicianship is top notch. The playing is amazing. The production is immaculate. It's really, really clean. It's done really, really well. So all joking aside about the infatuation with Gino Vanelli, this is a killer album, and I could listen to this all the time. Most of the time. And I mean, I can't interrupt, Slayer time with
South of Heaven followed by Appaloosa.
Yeah. But Appaloosa, the song Brother to Brother, I Just Want to Stop, those three right there, those would be three of the strongest hits of the 70s if people got behind Gino Vanelli. Unfortunately, it was like he always seemed to be like a cursory player on the pop scene.
Yeah,
because his background was more of a jazz fusion kind of thing, and
he's super well respected by the jazz world.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. He's a monster vocalist too. Maybe not as much as he used to be, but what he can do now within himself, besides living beside himself, is great. So that would be again in my bottom 5 of the top 10. Exactly where, I don't know.
That's a great one. I tried, you know how I am with this stuff. I always set all these sort of parameters, and I was like, I'm not going to select any greatest hits comps because that's cheating. But like the best of Gino Vanelli, the one that came out in like 1980 is
the one with the blue background.
Yes. Yeah. Front to back masterpiece of an album. It's got all the stuff you were mentioning as well as like Powerful People. And Gino's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And he's touring again.
All right.
He's playing in New York in June.
We should go. We almost went in September.
Be there. We almost went in September, and then everything fell apart, and it wound up working out for the best anyway. So
there was much better
Strife.
business at hand. Yes.
There was strife.
What number am I on? 8? Yes.
Yeah, 8.
Okay. Number 8. I had a hard time picking between 8 and 7 on this, but I think this is going to be number 8. Another one of my all-time favorite albums, Aqualung, Jethro Tull.
And your new purchase.
I was going to say, in my newly scored white label promo.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to not get reflection. And things in immaculate condition. So I was so excited to get this and add it to my collection. This is a record that, like, as I've gotten older, I love more and more. Again, lyrically, I'm a big lyric guy, and there's just some skyscrapers on this one for lyrics. Obviously, the playing is outstanding. This is probably Jethro Tull's most popular album, which, if you don't know, Jethro Tull is a band. It's not a person. Ian Anderson is the front person in Jethro Tull.
He is.
See, it's not his name is not Jethro Tull.
No.
But they have a few outstanding records, but this one far and away, I think I own like 7 different versions of this record. So,
And if you like metal and you don't like Jethro Tull, just remember Jethro Tull beat Metallica for best metal performance.
as they should, if you ask me.
Steel Monkey did not beat One. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. You're right. Here's the thing. If it was like Metallica going up against like songs from the Wood era Jethro Tull, then maybe. But yeah, definitely not Steel Monkey.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Best metal performance, Jethro Tull. It's probably because nobody voting at the Academy had ever heard of Jethro Tull. Like, well, that guy seems nice. He looks old on
right.
that cover.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
God.
No, but
All
just this is a masterpiece. So number 8 for me, Jethro Tull, Aqualung.
Nice. Number 8 for me, or 8-ish, whatever. Again, bottom 5 of the top 10 is going to be Enema by Tool. And, even if you're not a Tool fan, you could find something to like on that album. It was played all over radio in the mid 90s and late 90s, and they toured on that album forever. Just a great jump in musical maturity from Undertow, which was the album that they became known for because of MTV, because of the videos for Sober and Prison Sex, and because they were the like little animated videos and such. And then Enema came out, and you could actually, they did more of the visual art thing in their videos. It was never really performance videos. But between Stinkfist, which is a perennial favorite, and every concert they usually play it. They did not play it when I saw them because they had played it the night before. They did 2 nights in LA. But Stinkfist and 46 and 2 and Third Eye, which is probably my favorite song on the album. It's 14 minutes long, but it's amazing. And then there's a song paying tribute to Bill Hicks. So the famous comedian, famously outspoken and loud comedian who always professed smoking, and then died of lung cancer.
Well, he went out the way he would have wanted, I suppose.
Yeah, totally. It was so funny. It was like, I'll smoke anywhere, smoking right, smoking. Oops, I got lung cancer. Shit. So, and there's just an array. There's a song on there called Hooker with a Penis. And that song is great because it basically tells a story about how there was this kid and walked up to Maynard basically and said, like, I loved your band and I've been a fan of Tool since the beginning, and now you've sold out. And the chorus basically says, I sold out a long time ago. Like, yeah, and meanwhile, the kid is like with his brand new tattoos, wearing Vans, drinking a Coke, but we sold out. Like, okay,
right.
Yeah, you got it. Okay. Just point your finger at us. You're doing it wrong. Yeah. And Patrick, smart guy right there. He loves 46 and 2. That's such a great, especially if you're a bass player, that's like your Bible into like prog bass playing, it's such a great opening riff, unmistakable riff in 46 and 2. So that's my album. I don't have it on vinyl, so therefore I'm not holding it up.
Very, very, very rare album. A real one.
A real one, yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, we're talking about this came out in 95. I believe it was 95, and it was CD heaven. There was no vinyl being made. So
yep.
So yeah, finding that
I-
one on vinyl is hard.
I had a legit one walk into the store about a year ago, year and a half
way.
ago. Yeah.
Wow.
But the guy, you know, it
He
was
knew
like,
what he had.
yeah, which is fine. I mean, I'm happy to pay a fair price, but it's like, I mean, for those that don't know, you have to be able to make money if you're buying something up
Yeah.
from somebody. It's like, yeah, it's worth what is that worth, Mike? Probably $500.
I'm looking it up right now, but it
Okay.
probably is.
So let's say it's $500. It's like I'm gonna give you, and I'm gonna be generous and give you 300 because it's like it's a title that people will want to come see, but like I have to be able to make that money on it, and we couldn't come to an agreement on that. And
Let's
I feel like he
see.
thought it was worth like $1,200 or something where it was like way off, you know.
Wow, they actually have on Discogs. They actually have a test pressing. Holy shit!
For the test pressing.
No, for the regular one,
Yeah.
they call it well, maybe I don't know. Let's see, it's a special cut. I don't know what that means. Issued in the U.S. Double album vinyl. The cheapest I see it, $1,500.
No way.
Yep,
Wow. Yeah, that's
$1,500.
nuts. That's insane.
And not even
buy,
in this. You can't even get it in this country. It looks like.
buy a bootleg.
Yeah. Well, let's see. $1,500. My God. Let's see. What about this one? Is this one different? This one is one copy from 1630.
Yeah, but what's the median on it? Not what are people asking?
587.
Okay, right. That's right. That's what I was thinking. I feel like when I looked it up before, it was like between 500 and 700.
Yeah. And let's see. What is the test pressing?
That would
None
be hard.
available. Oh my God.
That would be hard to put a value on.
$2,500 median.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say
that's
'cause,
crazy.
I mean, how many of those are there? There's probably less
10.
than 10, right? Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you do 10 test pressings. Like that's it. Wow. That's nuts. Okay. Moving on.
Number 7, right?
Sure.
I'm going to echo your statement about how hard it was to pick one Led Zeppelin record, but I did it, and I picked this one because I think it's the culmination of everything they had done previously coming together on one record. So, as generic as it is, I picked Led Zeppelin 4.
I thought you were going to say Coda.
No, because this has like Going to California on it, which is very representative of Led Zeppelin 3. And then, of course, you have the classics of Black Dog, Rock and Roll. Battle of Evermore, too, is very Led Zeppelin 3. Misty Mountain Hop is another one of my favorite John Bonham drum tracks. I just think, it's a masterpiece of an album, front to back. And you could say that about 6 of the 8 records Led Zeppelin released. But this one, this is the one that put me on the track, and I still love hearing all of these songs, no matter how overplayed they are. And another one of my favorite John Bonham drum tracks, Rock and Roll, of course, because, again, as I've said before, everyone thinks it's simple not to play it the way he's playing it. Go on YouTube and listen to the isolated drum track of Rock and Roll, and every shitty and good drummer you've ever heard play it is not playing it how it should be played. So, Led Zeppelin 4, number 7.
That's a cheat. I'm kidding. It's not a cheat. I got to look up something really quick.
How much money you have to see if you can buy that Tool test pressing?
I just bid on it. I'm kidding. I did not. All right. Well, now I'm going to save that one. All right. So we talked about the Beatles earlier, and I'm just going to put it out there. Let it be. I mean, I love this album. And because it's so different than any of the other Beatles albums, it's so stripped down in so many ways, except when Phil Spector got his hands on the song Let It Be and orchestrated the living shit out of it. In fact, if I have to say, I prefer Let It Be naked.
Yes.
That version of the album, which was released, I think it was in the 90s at some point.
2003.
Oh, okay, 2003. So basically what they did is they went back and remixed the album without all the Phil Spector orchestration in it. And it's better.
Yeah, much better.
It's just better. in so many ways. Though there are some versions of songs on here that I prefer better, like Dig a Pony. I like this version way better. And in fact, Dig a Pony happens to be one of my favorite Beatles songs because it just feels good. It's just like a raw, bluesy tune. Like they just said, you know what? Let's, like John Lennon's like, I'm going to make up lyrics on the spot. Let's just make a really cool blues tune. And that's what it sounds like. It grooves and it sways all at the same time, which is why I really, really dig it. And George Harrison's guitar playing in the solo is tasteful, and everything he's doing in the verses is tasteful. It's just a great song. But this whole album, for me, because it's so raw and stripped down for the most part, really does it. I really, really love this album.
That is an odd, like for me, it's an odd choice because it's probably my least favorite Beatles album. Not that I don't like it, but just because it's stripped down.
Yeah.
Is why it would be my least favorite Beatles album, because I love all the studio trickery of the later era stuff, and I love in the early years where they're just a great rock band. So for me, once you hear Sgt. Pepper and all that, I like the path that they were on there. I still love a lot of the songs that are on that record, and if you haven't seen the Get Back documentary, it will make you love and appreciate that album.
Yeah.
I know it did me.
Yeah.
I've never thought it, I've never said it that's a terrible album or anything. It's just definitely my least favorite Beatles record.
No, and it's hard to pick a favorite Beatles album. Like I was vacillating between that one and Abbey Road, and then it's like, well, what about Sgt. Pepper? And it's like,
What about Revolver?
The Revolver, I mean, I'm not going to go like Hard Day's Night. I'm not going to go Help, any of the soundtracky albums, and I wasn't thinking any of the early stuff, Meet the Beatles. Like, yeah, they have historical value, but I won't put that on and listen to it over and over and over again because half of those albums are cover tunes. So, which we'll get to discovered later.
Yes.
But, the ingenuity that went into Sgt. Pepper and everything. Yeah, if I picked it, I kind of felt like it would be me picking Led Zeppelin 4. No offense.
Yeah,
but
I get what you're saying.
It's just like everybody loves that album. Of course, everybody loves that album. So that's sort of, de rigueur to put it in your top 10. So I was like, well, for me, really, like Abbey Road, I love later Beatles more than earlier Beatles. Mm-hmm. Everything post Rubber Soul, and I think a lot of people feel that way about the Beatles. But, looking at what happened at the end when they were the most fractured as a band, yet still coming together to make this music, that tension is there and it comes out in the music because they're like almost angry at their instruments from all the infighting and what have you. Even though when you watch Let It Be, the Get Back, it's like the most passive aggressive anger ever on the planet. Right. It's just like, well, I'm just not having tea with you. Like, all right.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Well,
you're a jerk.
The thing that's really unbelievable, if you know your history, is like they went in and did that, and they had all that infighting and everything, and then they sort of shelved that record, and then they went and did Abbey Road because Let It Be came out after.
Came out afterwards.
But like, especially after you watch Get Back and you see all the fighting and all the tenseness and everything, and then they went back and then they did an even more fucking brilliant album. Yeah. Like it's like it. That's why, I mean, we've talked about this before. That's why forever they will be the greatest of all time. Yeah, I mean, it's 100%. Just no one can come close. Dean saying no one has mentioned Rush. I'm sure it's coming.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it's coming.
We're not to top 5 yet, Dean.
Yeah.
We're close.
But Dean's like you with Rush, where I would bet like his top 5 albums.
We're not at the top 5 yet, Dean.
It's coming. All right, now, Mike, this is one that I know that we may share in our top 10. So
Aww.
It's a little lower for me. But this is number 6, right?
Yeah.
Number 6, Born to Run.
You're right.
Bruce Springsteen.
You're right. I do actually no. I can't even pretend.
And I want to point out, this one is signed by Bruce himself. I got this signed in Columbus in 2014. It was freezing fucking cold out, and Bruce stopped and signed my copy of Born to Run that still has the original $2.99 price tag on it from when I first bought it.
Well, you paid way too much.
Signed by Bruce, signed by Little Steven, and signed by Gary Talent. So
Well, you don't have the test pressing of Greetings from Asbury Park that I showed you.
no, I wish I did. I wish I had $1,000. My favorite part was when you sent that and it did look like $100, and I was going to say, like, buy that. Well, the first thing I was going to say was which version of Greetings from Asbury Park, the one from last year? Like, what the fuck? How's it only $100? And then you just go, it's 1,000, not 100.
Yeah, and this is at Amoeba Music in LA if anybody wants it. It's Springsteen Greetings from Asbury Park test pressing from the Pittman plant with lyrics and handwritten note from Ron Oberman.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
I think he's the
He's at Columbia. He was at Columbia.
I don't know if Gall McCartney, if his technician of the month money would have covered that, but it was $1,000, so I didn't buy it.
There you go.
But let me just talk about Born to Run real quick. This is Bruce at his cinematic best. I went back and forth between this and Darkness on the Edge of Town. Darkness is the one that got me into Bruce, but I think when it's all said and done, this is the defining album of his career. So coming in at number 6, Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run for me.
Coming in hot at number 6.
Yes.
All right, so that means I'm up to number 6-ish. I gotta see. So I'm gonna go with this one. In a lot of people's minds, this album is not their best, but it's up there. This album immediately went to number 1 when it was first released back in 94, I believe it was. Was it 94? Yeah, I believe it was 94. And it took Brutality to another level. I loved the band from the first 2 albums, and then this one came out, and it just put me over the top. It's Far Beyond Driven by Pantera.
Great fucking record.
This album, I mean, people say, like, oh no, Vulgar Display of Power. Yeah, that album is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Fairly bulletproof album, and some of their best material is on it. This album pushed everything to the next level. Not a new level, the next level. This thing is heavy as fuck. And it has singles. It has hits. 5 Minutes Alone, great album. Strength Beyond Strength. When it opens with Strength Beyond Strength, it's like you hear a guitar riff and then they just start punching you in the face repeatedly.
Yeah.
and it doesn't let up. And you're like, okay, yeah, I'm hooked. And I remember putting it on the first, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then it followed up with Becoming, which was sort of like this proto-industrial metal song with the whammy in there. Hearing that whammy for the first time, that whammy pedal, you're like, what is that? What is happening here? They like step on a cat like every 4 bars or whatever it is. But it sort of had that sort of industrial feel, and it was just like fucking evil.
Yeah.
So for me, definitely my favorite Pantera record, punching up to the top 5 favorite albums of all time. Really, really close on that one. This album, I love it.
It's funny that you mentioned that about Becoming, because I remember hearing that. Like, I got into Pantera when I was like, I don't know, probably 12. So it was like 2 years before Dime got killed. And I remember, no, it was 2003. I remember specifically because it was when that Greatest Hits came out. That was the first, and Becoming was on there. And I remember being like, what is he doing to make that noise? I didn't understand at the time, I didn't know about the whammy pedal and shit.
It's 20 years this year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Super crazy.
Your turn. We're going top 5, buddy.
Number 5. Okay. This doesn't, I said no greatest hits, and this isn't a greatest hits, but you might qualify it as a greatest hits, but it's still a life-changing album, and it is definitely number 5. Without a doubt. Kiss Alive, number 1. Kiss Alive 1 is my 5 record.
All right. So I have a problem with adding live records into this, but I mean, it is a greatest hits album live.
But to me, there is no better like representation of Kiss than this. Like this is, and you think about before Destroyer, before Love Gun, Rock and Roll Over, before Alive 2, all of that. It's this. Like after all this time, this is still Kiss's defining moment for me.
Well, all right. I'll let it go.
I purposely didn't ask you about if this was allowed because I wanted to make sure I could talk about it.
It's a fair point. Look, it's all good. That's fine. We'll let it roll.
Kiss Alive 1, ladies and gentlemen, number 5 on my top 10 favorite albums of all time.
All right, I have a tie for number 5. I am cheating. I have a tie for number 5 because these both, again, I had more of a formed top 5 than the bottom 5. So one I don't have on vinyl. I've been wanting to get it on vinyl. Finding it on vinyl is hard, especially the original. They reissued it. The reissue sold out except for their signed versions, which is like $100. And that's the album Fantastic Planet by Failure. And that album, they are the jellyfish of space rock. Very underappreciated, very ahead of their time, have way more fans now than when they first came out. A band's band. Great parallels there between both of those bands. Fantastic Planet is a listen where it's start to finish. If it was all like 15 songs or 15 or 16 songs with what they call segues, they actually have segues named segues on the album. You could put the needle on the front and just listen to the whole thing contiguously and not get sick of it because it takes you on a trip. It's not a thematic album, just that the writing on it and every song takes you on a different emotional ride. And there are a lot of bands that point to Failure as a big influence, and specifically that album. So the first song is Saturday Savior. Like that song is amazing. The song, The Nurse Who Loved Me, which has one of the greatest lines in the world, one of the greatest lyrics. Let's see, say hello to all the apples on the ground. They were once in your eyes, but you sneezed them out while sleeping. So yeah, I mean, it's a ridiculous lyric, but I like it. It's hysterical. But the song itself and the production of that album, if you have heard it, is very lush. That's the best word I can use for it. It's very wall of sound guitar wise. And Ken Andrews, who is the singer and guitar player of Failure, he produced the album. He's gone on and produced shit tons of bands. And he actually has, if you go on YouTube, he actually gives you tips and tricks on production items. So he has a whole like YouTube series and they're just so good. Such a great band. Pillowhead, great song from that album. The Nurse Who Loved Me, Dirty Blue Balloons, Daylight. Just like all these songs that are on there are just absolutely great. And then Stuck on You was the one song from there that actually made it onto MTV. They actually redid the video for that a couple of years ago in like 4K, and it looks magnificent. So that would be tied with my other top 5 pick, and that's Mr. Bungle. Their first EP, their self-titled album. I'm sorry, and because I have a sick, twisted sense of humor. And I love almost everything Mike Patton does. And Mike Patton from Faith No More is the singer of Mr. Bungle. This was his first band before he joined Faith No More. In fact, he still does stuff with Mr. Bungle now, except with a different cast of characters. But this album is definitively evil circus music.
It's a good way to describe it.
That is the only way to describe it, is evil circus music. And it was produced by John Zorn. And if you know anything about John Zorn, he's off the plantation as far as music goes. So it's a great one.
Mr. Bungle has always been like one of those bands that, like, in Faith No More to an extent, has always been bands that have like, I get it, but I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like I hear it and I go, yeah, it's great. Like it's great musicianship and it's great playing, but it's also really bizarre, you know?
It is. It's avant-garde in some of the most accessible ways, if that makes sense. You know, like that first album, there are songs. They're just crazy. Then the second album, there's sort of songs and it's a lot of noise and just very disjointed items. And I can't listen to their second album the whole way through without developing a headache.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I don't like that stuff.
Yeah, Disco Volante is, I mean, I like parts of I can't listen to that whole album. And then the third album called California is like all like Beach Boy influenced, like multi-harmony songs that don't sound anything like the first two. And just that was the thing that I dug about Bungle, is that every album was so different, except for Disco Volante hurts.
I love pushing the envelope forward. So even if it's not something that connects with me, I respect it.
Yeah. What is your number 4? And while you're announcing it, I got to grab something.
Okay, he's grabbing something. Okay, but then we're not going to get all your ridiculous commentary on my number 4. Mike, which I know you're going to have. I don't know. Should we wait for Mike? No, I should probably talk about this while I have the chance. Number 4, very hard to pick one Bob Dylan record, but I had to pick one. Bob Dylan, Blood on the Tracks. Absolutely amazing album. His divorce record is probably the easiest way to put it. Most people know Tangled Up in Blue from this record, but every song is fantastic. And the production is great. And for those that bitch and complain about his voice, he has a different sounding voice on this record. So,
Which I missed it. What was it?
Blood on the Tracks.
I never heard of him.
Yeah, Mike doesn't even know this guy exists.
Yeah.
But no,
is that Bob Williams?
Bob Williams. No, it's not. I had a hard time actually, because I would have a few years ago I would have said Highway 61 for Dylan, which is another fucking great album. I always tell people he's one of the only artists that has like 10 amazing front to back records, but when it's all said and done, I think this is the defining one. At least it is for me, lyrically, musically, production wise. It doesn't get much better than this. And if you haven't heard it, you need to hear it. If my Uncle Mark is watching, I told him one day that sometimes this record would be my number 1 favorite record. And he sent me an email explaining why that would be impossible. Yeah, why that would be impossible for this to be anyone's favorite record of all time.
So if he's watching live on the air.
Yeah. I don't know if he's watching. And I just realized... I'm not going to start doing that. I was going to say I just realized there's an album I left out of this that I should not have left out of this, but what's done is done.
What's done is done.
All right. That was number what? 3 or 4? That's 4, right?
4.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my number 4, this will make Dean happy.
Yeah.
A Farewell to Kings by Rush. Why? Because like if you look at all the Rush albums, there are some that really just suck. Right? I love Rush. They're arguably my favorite band, but Hold Your Fire, it should be burned in a fire. You know, like that album is just not good. There's a couple of songs on there that are okay, but most of the album is Taishan. I mean, come on, stop.
We're on a mission.
Stop it. And then there's some that get overlooked. And this is one of them. A Farewell to Kings is a very overlooked album by a lot of people until recently. And that's because over the past couple of years, Primus has been touring, playing this entire album. And they did a great job with it. So I was really happy to see, them paying tribute to Rush and playing this thing. Over and over and over again. You got a strange look on your face there, dude. What's up?
No, I found it very strange that Primus was able to go out and tour that, because it was so like it wasn't moving pictures, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's not like something common. So I was just reflecting on everything I had felt when I had read that and saw them add multiple legs. And I didn't go when they played Detroit, but Rachel went and she said it was fantastic.
Well, it was amazing. And they played a set of their own
Yes.
music as well. But when they played this, and of course you know, he can't sing like as high as Geddy did on this album. He admitted that from the beginning. So some of it was done with like a, you know, an octave below. And it was like, all right, that's a little weird. But he pulled off most of it. And he pulled off the screamy stuff when it really needed to happen, like at the end of Cygnus X1, which is far and away one of my favorite Rush songs. It's, you know, again, a very an epic at about 7.5, 8 minutes long, somewhere in that neighborhood. And it's awesome because he did pull it off. I'm like, look, if you're going to get it, I didn't care what else he did. Just get it right in Cygnus X1. And he did. But as far as this actual album, Xanadu should have been better received. I think it's because it's such a long song, 11-minute song, that it wasn't received like it probably should have been. It's such a great song, and it's a well-written and well-orchestrated. It comes in parts, essentially. And I think Rick Beato even did a whole video on YouTube saying that, you know, this song is Rush's best song. And it's definitely one of their best songs. Possibly, arguably, my favorite Rush song from my favorite Rush album. Close to the Heart, everybody knows that one, of course. You know, Cinderella Man is okay. Madrigal is okay. But, I mean, everything else on that album is just fantastic. And it really was where they had like several epics on one album and really told the story in every one of them. And you didn't get bored from the length of the songs.
Great production, too.
Good. Production's great. Terry Brown at his finest. You know, Terry Brown is the guy who produced basically the first like 8 Rush albums, everything through Signals. And then after that, they started getting all different people in. So, but yeah, Farewell to Kings, my number 4.
Great one. Okay, as I said at the beginning of this, my top 3 is interchangeable depending on the day, because I love all 3 of these records so much. But this one,
by the way, I should have said that's one of my favorite Rush albums, not my favorite Rush albums.
Oh, okay. All right. This record I just consider just must own, one of the greatest things ever recorded. It still is like the gift that keeps on giving. I've probably heard this, 10,000 times, and I'm never sick of it. Dark Side of the Moon.
I never heard of it.
Just, again, like I've said a bunch about these records that I'm showing, like I'm a huge lyric guy, and the lyrics on this record are just masterful. Recording, production stuff on it is fantastic. The guitar playing is on another level. It just, like I said, I mean, I've heard it so many times, but like, it's just great every single fucking time. And it blows my mind that like a rock band was able to make a record this deep and like expanded. I don't know the words I'm looking for, but like I feel like this is a record that like 300 years from now people will still study and be like,
of course,
what the fuck is this? Like it'll still change lives generations from now. And to me, there's nothing more iconic than this cover. Everybody knows what this means. Everybody knows what this represents.
Yes,
and,
a prism.
Yes. But Time, one of my favorite songs of all time. Us and Them. Brain Damage Eclipse, one of the greatest endings to an album ever.
Yes.
I can't say enough about it. So, and this, I think when we did this show, Mike, that was like what albums belong in every record collection. We both had this. We both had this at number 1. Like nothing lends itself to the vinyl format better than Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
The way it's split between the two sides and just the gatefold. This is the mobile fidelity version, but the gatefold with the heartbeat there and the prism. I mean, there's just nothing better than this.
There are. Because that's number 3.
Well, but like I said, today it's number 3. Tomorrow it might be number 1.
Yeah, exactly. And again, everybody, I mean, this is our top 10 like now. Tomorrow I'll wake up and I'll think of something different as my top 5 or whatever. But for the most part, these are fairly static. The positions change.
Yes.
But they're fairly static as for like the top 5. My number 3 is, well, you brought up Kiss. I got to bring up Kiss. And this is the equivalent of picking Pink Floyd's, Dark Side of the Moon for Kiss, because this is like, again, the go-to, like, which album do you love? I love Destroyer.
Yep.
I do. I love Destroyer. This was the album that got me really into Kiss. It was this album. So, I got my first copy when I was 5. It was given to me for my birthday when I think I was 5 or 6, one of the two. Either way, this got me into Kiss. And this cover is iconic. I mean,
Yes.
Very hard to beat the artwork on this. The gentleman who painted this, he passed away a couple of years ago. Very, very sad. But hey, I mean, if this is one of your claims to fame, that's not bad.
Same guy that his name's Ken Kelly, the same guy who did Rainbow Rising, and and of course his biggest achievement, Man of War, Kings of Metal.
Yes, loincloths everywhere. Painting the loincloth. I would want to know how to go paint a loincloth. I want to take a class. Unfortunately, he passed away, but he was the master of painting loincloths.
Yes, he absolutely was.
And cod pieces. Like,
I have an art print of that album cover signed by him that I got. I met him at a Comic Con.
well, apart from the artwork, obviously, this could just be a greatest hits album. Because every album except for Flaming Youth is great. I mean, every song except for Flaming Youth is great.
Flaming Youth's fucking awesome.
Jesus.
It's better than Great Expectations.
No, I love Great Expectations.
So do I.
But Flaming Youth is not better than that.
I think so. Let's go to the comments.
Let's see.
Flaming Youth or Great Expectations.
Yeah. All right, that's our poll, people. Flaming Youth or Great Expectations? And go. And we'll, obviously, you'll see it tick
We'll
up.
circle back, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's the other one on there that I don't like? Sweet Pain. I don't.
That's probably my least favorite of those three.
Yeah, I don't like the song, but there is Peter Criss's best fill in that song. That was his greatest fill. Actually, I do have to say that like the beat and the verses does showcase his playing. Like that was really good playing by Peter Criss. I really dig his playing on that song. But the rest of the song I can kind of do without because the lyrics are stupid. And Gene Simmons is singing it. And,
Mike, every time you bring me up, it's just a shame. I wrote that song thinking of Sweet Pain and thinking of the pain I'd like to impress upon you.
Gene, please go away.
Financial pain.
I'm going to sue you until you hurt. And that will be such sweet pain.
Oh, yeah.
KissOnline.com, Kiss Condoms, the Kiss Casket.
See, all right, we have one vote. Great Expectations.
Okay, we have one so far.
Yeah, nobody else. Everybody's probably like going to like listen to the song now and be like, "Shit, I don't know either one."
Yeah, both of these aren't good.
Anyway, that's my number 3.
Great one.
Oh, great one.
All right, number 2. A masterwork in pop. To me, it's on the same level as Sgt. Pepper, Pet Sounds, all those great big, lush was the word you used earlier, big, lush records. And another one that totally changed my life, and I've been jamming this record down people's throats for almost my entire life since I heard it. Spilt Milk by Jellyfish.
I was wondering when it was going to pop up.
And I had a hard time because I tell people a lot of times that this is my favorite album of all time.
And you've said that multiple times.
Yes, and on a lot of days it is. But there was one it fell to. But again, like I know the ins and outs of this entire thing. I've heard it so many times. And this is just a record that deserves way more praise than it gets and way more success than it had. Yeah. But in a way, that's almost made it better because when you talk to people about this album or they've never heard it, you blow their fucking mind.
Again, it's a band's band.
Yes.
That band came out at the absolute wrong time.
Yes.
They
Yes.
totally did. They hit the scene around 1990, and they're playing this Beatles-infused power pop, and everybody was still having big hair and singing about fucking chicks in the ass bent over a railing or whatever. Or maybe that's just what I wanted to do. But
I think that was more biographical outlook on things
yeah,
for you.
bio for sure, biological maybe. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's such a, I mean, everything on that album is well produced. If you, and I brought this up before on the show, if you ask any drummer, any professional drummer, they love the tom sound on this album. I know it sounds like something weird to talk about, but they reference the drum tom sound on that album as being like what they shoot for all the time. Like it's like iconic tone.
Yeah, it's I mean, just it's a fucking masterpiece from front to back, and I've had the pleasure of discussing and talking to Roger Joseph Manning Jr. a few times, and I said to him, like, because as a musician, Mike, like you said, they're a band's band, right? And I think any musician that made this would just be forever like blown away that they were involved, but also like pissed off because it should be a lot more respected than it is. And he, like every other musician that can relate to this, I said, now when you heard this, like when you guys were done, did you think like, God, we've just made a fucking great record, you know, like this is the best thing we could have ever done? And he said, no, when I hear it and when I heard it then, I think of all the things that we could have done different.
Yep.
That
100%.
You know, he goes, I hear it now and I think, oh man, maybe I should have done this or maybe I should have done that. And he's like, I love that people are so dedicated to it, like yourself, and praise it because it means a lot to me as a songwriter. But he's like, no, I feel like every other musician does when I hear my albums after the fact. I think, fuck, I wish I would have done this or I would have put this part in or whatever. But it just is so good. And if you're not familiar with this album, you need to be. I can't say it enough. Like I said, I've turned so many people onto this record, and it's one of those things where when you meet another musician, if you know about this, you're instantly good. You know, like
you're
you're
best
instantly
friends. Like your best friends automatically. Yeah.
Like I can't, I mean, the list goes on and on of people that I've become friendly with because of this band and this album. And yeah, if you don't have it, you should. You have to buy it. You have to listen to it.
You must do it.
You must own.
Actually, I think they're all sold out.
Well, you can buy the CD still.
Yeah, you can buy the CD, but the vinyl's all sold out again.
Yeah, because people like you and I that already had copies of it had to buy it again.
Oh, I bought 2 of each because that's what has to happen. All right, final 2 for each of us. That was number 2 for you. This is number 2 for me. And I know this is a little bit of a cheat because I yelled at you for using a live album, but no words for this one. Neil Diamond, love it. No. All right. I had to do something.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, something had to come. But fair warning, Van Halen.
Yeah.
I mean, every song on this album is awesome. It is dark. You know, Van Halen's always known as being like the band that you listen to in your Camaro driving down in the summer with the top down, and you know, it's fun and happy. This is not a fun and happy album at all, which is why I absolutely love it. And Van Halen fans that are real diehard Van Halen fans cite this album as their favorite too. It is dark and evil and experimental in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And Eddie's playing is just chaotic as fuck. And I love it. I mean, you know, starting off with Mean Streets, the song Mean Streets alone, you know, with a different type of tapping technique. He's using a slap and pop technique on that, much like a bass player would do. But he's doing it on guitar because he's Eddie Van Halen and he can do that. And just everything. There are very few super upbeat songs on this album. A lot of it has like a slow kind of shuffle to it in a lot of ways. And Alex Van Halen's playing on it is the best, period, on this
Insane.
album. It's just amazing. And, everybody says, well, what about Hot for Teacher on 1984? There's a lot of overdubs on that.
Yeah.
His playing is great on that album. On this album, it's the pinnacle of his playing. Absolutely the pinnacle of Alex
Michael
Van Halen's
Anthony
drumming.
too, man.
Yeah.
The rhythm section is locked in. And like you were just saying about Mean Street, like even if that record only had that,
Yeah.
it would still be my favorite Van Halen. But you're talking Unchained and what's the song before Unchained? Why am I drawing a blank?
Unchained starts side 2.
Okay. Then what's
So
the
you're
last
talking about
song
on the
side one?
CD? What's
No.
that? So This Is Love? No,
Yeah.
Hear About It Later. Hear About It Later.
Hear About It
side-
Later.
Yeah, and Hear About It Later is like the one like almost ballady kind of song on the album. It's not even really a ballad. Just everything on this album. Mean Street, So This Is Love. I love So This Is Love. That's got such a great shuffle on it. And
Yep.
Michael Anthony's bass playing right in the pocket on that one is fantastic. It's actually the only song on the album I can play start to finish, including the solo.
Nice. There you
Everything
go.
else is off the plantation. Push
Sit
comes to
and-
shove.
Sinner's Swing. If you're a
Sinner's Swing
drummer,
is one of the 2 super upbeat songs on the album, and it's great.
if you're a drummer, try and figure out what the fuck is happening. That song is so bizarre
It
with
is.
where the accents are and stuff.
Yep.
That song is a nightmare.
He does like these half snare rolls that are like in the middle of a beat. Like, where's this coming from?
Yeah, yeah.
It's so good. And then like Dirty Movies,
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
That just like sleaze. It's just pure sleaze, and Eddie's playing slide on it of
Yeah.
all things,
So good.
So yeah, it's just awesome. So yeah, it is by far my favorite Van Halen album. It is number 2 on my top albums list, definitively. Now the sad thing is that it's so short.
Yeah.
Like, it's 8 songs or nine songs. One of them is barely a song. Sunday Afternoon in the Park. That's barely a song, and like every song is like 3.5 minutes. So like the whole album is like a little over a half hour.
Yeah.
It's it's not a very long album at all.
And what's that super what's the name of that super heavy thing that happens at the end of the album? The fucking, is that Sunday in the Park or Saturday
Sunday
in the Park?
Afternoon in the Park. That's
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was like what was that? That was a Casio thru. If I remember correctly, I think it was like one of those little Casio keyboards that were out at the time in like 1981. It was like one of those little Casio keyboards, and they plugged it through Eddie's rig. And
so fucking great.
that's the story I remember. I could be wrong, but that was the story I remember. It's like a little Casio keyboard they put through Eddie's rig, and just the drum. They needed to put another song on there, so they just said, "All right, let's just whip this up." Much like they did on Diver Down as well with the prelude to Pretty Woman. They just added that intruder or whatever that intro was that goes into Pretty Woman, and that was David Lee Roth actually who did that. But yeah. Sunday Afternoon in the Park, which goes into One Foot Out the Door in a very odd,
out the door.
a very odd fade into that song from Sunday Afternoon in the Park. But I digress.
That is the best Van Halen record.
It
no,
is.
it's not even close.
Yeah,
So fucking awesome.
definitely does not have Dreams on it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If we were doing the top 10 worst albums, that would be right up there.
Great. Go for it. What's your
All
number
right.
one?
Number one. Now, it was very hard to select what was my favorite album of all time, but one stood out, and unfortunately, I don't have it on vinyl because it's just such a rare album. But Creed, Human Clay, is number one.
I'm sure it is. And I say, whoa. Oh wait, no, that's my own.
That's
prison.
my own prison. Yeah.
Sorry.
I hate to say it. No, number one.
The fact that you knew
Yeah, right.
means
That's
that you're
it.
a closet Creed fan.
Hey, that was my shit when I was 8.
Oh, you know what your number one is? It's Rockstar by Nickelback.
No. Oh, I never liked that. That's unfair.
Hey.
So like I was saying, most days Spilt Milk is my favorite album of all time.
Yeah.
But when I really stepped back and thought about it, took a look, and I thought about like what album really changed my fucking life and made me love music the way I do and love vinyl and all of that. And there was one that stood above everything. Deep Purple, Machine Head.
I knew
My
it had to be
favorite
in there somewhere.
My favorite of all time. This record and this copy particularly, I was 11 and I bought this at a store called Plymouth Rock that's no longer there, and it's beat to living I would never play this on anything, but I kept it because of the sentimental value. It has the lyric sheet in it still,
Nice.
with all the lyrics for
Watch him tear it.
yeah, right. All the songs. But I mean, again, like what you were saying about Destroyer, like, this could be the Deep Purple greatest hits album. I mean, Highway Stars on it, Smoke on the Water, Space Truckin', Lazy. The drumming on this, it put me on the path that I am. Like,
Well, and then you put Ian Pace on your body.
yeah, Ian Pace is on my arm along with John Bonham. But yeah, I just can't say enough about this album. And it's another one. I know I've said it a bunch on these last few of just how many times I've heard it and I've studied it inside and out. And I never get tired of it. And this is another one, like front to back, even the deep cut songs that a lot of people don't know, like Maybe I'm a Leo, which totally shows off the funky, groove inside of Deep Purple. And then Pictures of Home, which is like totally a heavy metal epic. 10 years prior to anybody doing it. Never Before is like a straightforward pop song. Of course, you got the blues tinge Lazy with the great Richie Blackmore soloing. And I always have said, I mean, my distaste for Black Sabbath has been well documented on this show.
Shut up.
To me, there's nothing heavier than the riff that John Lord plays on the organ in Space Truckin'. That is like, so just like make your teeth rattle.
No, and I could, I've seen Deep Purple live, and when they do play that, it's kind of awesome because you get that full on like overdriven keyboard sound just fills the arena or the venue wherever it is. I saw them at a House of Blues. You know, it just like filled the whole place. And you're right, like it's really, Roger. Okay, it's almost like he hits the brown note. Like your bowels get a little loose. Because it's so big and so heavy. So, yes, I agree. I agree with you on that one.
My thing specifically about that riff is you got the which is heavy, right? And then when they come around again, it drops another fucking...
It drops an octave.
Fucking, it's so good. I still get, like, the hair raises up on my arms. And the day I bought this record for $5... my life was different from that point forward. So when I had to think about what would I say is like the defining album of my life, this is it.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Nick's top 10, including his number 1, Deep Purple, Machine Head. All right.
I had a hard time. I had a really hard time not putting Burn in the top 10 too, but settled for Machine.
You could have. I mean, some people put. Oh, wait, there's only some people. This is just me and you. Some people may have repeated a band in the top 10.
Yes.
Some people may have repeated that band and made this album number 1. For now, until tomorrow when I change my mind. But I am going back to the well, and I'm going back to Neil Diamond, and this is. The Jazz Singer, the soundtrack. No.
That came close to my number 1 as well.
There you go. At least it wasn't Al Jolson's Jazz Singer. That's racist, you jerk. Rush, Permanent Waves. And there's a story about this particular version that it just still hurts. But Permanent Waves is, for me, with Rush, the perfect transitional album. It has the best of the epic style long form songs and the pop sensibilities that came afterwards with Moving Pictures. So this is the album right before Moving Pictures, and you could smell it changing. This album has Free Will, Spirit of Radio, and Entre Nous. Like those 3 songs are very, I don't want to call them formulaic. They're radio friendly. very radio friendly, more than anything else they had ever done, even more so than Closer to the Heart, because there's not a lot of the screechiness is done in Geddy's voice is done in a different way. It actually serves, it seems to serve a full purpose. Especially in Free Will, at the end of Free Will, when he goes to that super high register in the last verse. But then you look at, Different Strings, which was actually written by Geddy Lee, lyrics written by Geddy. Very few songs where lyrics were written by somebody other than Neil Peart. Okay, Neil's drummer of Rush, currently dead, wrote 98% of the lyrics. Within that 2%, Geddy Lee wrote Different Strings. There's a reason why those guys didn't write lyrics. They
don't really stack up. It doesn't stack up to the lyrics in Entre Nous.
No, Entre Nous' lyrics are absolutely phenomenal, and but by the same token, the music in Different Strings is great, and I love the way the album flows, because you go from Entre Nous to different. Like Entre Nous is that like pop hit, radio friendly song. And then it takes you down a step into Different Strings, which is a little more laid back. And Alex Lifeson has a really cool guitar solo in that song. And then it goes into Natural Science, the very last song on the album, which is like a 9-minute epic that has some of the best hi-hat work I've ever heard from a drummer on any song. And so fast. It's just like, whoa, like blinding speed on the hi-hat. And you're like, what the hell? What's going on here? And playing in off-time signatures doing it, The production on the album is great. They were really experimenting more with new sounds, and more keyboards were coming into play, but at the same time, there was still a big rock sensibility. So again, for me, it's the epitome of Rush's two eras, the straight up rock trio era and the more synthy poppy era. So it sits right there in the middle of that. And that culminated with Moving Pictures, which everybody knows. But at the same time, this album means a lot more to me than Moving Pictures. It's just great. It's only 6 songs. So it's super short, but it's because a couple of the songs are like 6-8 minutes long. It's dragged out enough to be an actual album. Now, this version is the original master recording, the Mo-Fi version of this album, which you can't find. It was in print for a while. It's out of print. I have number 1959. I don't know how many of these they made.
And that's only Rush album that Mo-Fi did, which is bizarre.
This is the only one they did. So, of course, I needed to have it. And I bought it. I found one sealed. And whoever sent it to me was a complete chooch. And they did not know how to pack anything. And let's see if you can see how broken that is.
Yep.
On the top, I mean, just total blowout on the seams there. And then it bent the cover on that side. I'm like, I wrote to the dude, I'm like, come on, are you kidding me? He's like, oh, my sister packed it. Like, I don't care if your Aunt Tilly packed it. I need a refund on this thing. And he gave me back 15%. But I still paid $160 for this.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
So, so I got back what, $24? Like, okay, great.
That doesn't make up for it.
No, it doesn't, especially since I can't resell it for what I paid for it.
Yeah, but you're not going to sell it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I'm not, but I'm also not going to buy a replacement. And at the same time, I will say that when I first put this on, and you even asked me about this, how does it sound? That was the first thing that you said. How does it sound? Does it sound like choked? Mm-hmm. And it does. It sounds choked. It's actually one of Mo-Fi's not quite good pressings. It got better as I improved my sound system, and now I can listen to it. But on the sound system I had when I first got this, it's not all that great. In fact, my OG is better.
I wonder if that's why they only did that record.
Because maybe I don't know. Maybe the band didn't like what they did, in the signal chain. That's a big thing when they do represses like this. It gets remastered, but if you do it in a bad way, like this, it just sounds all choked. It sounds like it's being held in, like completely compressed. There's no dynamics, and I mean, again, as I improved my system and as I tweaked it a bit more, it sounded better and better. But I don't want to have to buy a new system to listen to one fucking record.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So.
Especially like how you just said that the original sounds better and the reissues
Well,
they
the
did.
box set, the reissue box set is fantastic.
And those reissues that they did in 2015 were fantastic. Analog, or I think RTI pressed everything, or Quality Record Pressing.
Yeah, the 200-gram ones.
Yeah. Those are great. So I mean, there's no point to pay $200 or whatever it normally goes for that. But for you as the collector,
for
and it
me as
being
the
your favorite
collector,
album,
I needed this in the collection because this is the only one they did with MoFi. But would I buy it again? No. So I just did you all a favor. All right, everybody, that is our top 10. Thank you for now. Let's go to the videotape. Let's look at people's emails and see what they threw in there, because we have some from Tarantula Ravenblood, who's my friend Tara, who's on here somewhere. All right, her top 5. This is an interesting top 5, going from 5 to 1. Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time. 9 Inch Nails, The Downward Spiral. Skinny Puppy, Too Dark Park. The Crow soundtrack, and 9 Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machine. I sense a theme. I sense an trending industrial, though the Crow soundtrack, that first Crow soundtrack is actually pretty good. The second one, City of Angels soundtrack, is even better. But they're both good. And Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time.
That's an odd choice for Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that record, but you normally hear people say either Number of the Beast, Piece of Mind, or Power Slave, usually over Somewhere in Time.
Yeah, I mean, Somewhere in Time is good. There's a couple of songs on there that, just want to choke out, like Heaven Can Wait.
Yeah, that's one of your favorites.
God damn. But let's look. There was a litany of people that submitted things that we should look at here.
The Paul McCartney list coming through is pretty outstanding.
Devil Without a Cause. I'm going platinum.
Number 4, Weathered by Creed. Number 3, 1459 by Sugar Ray.
Nice. I'm in agreement with this right now.
Let's see what number 2 and number 1 is.
I'm afraid. And by the way, you don't need to list one every line, Gall. Why don't you just type it all out? Unmasked by Kiss. All right. Number 1 is Mel Torme's Greatest Hits. Yeah. I Am the Velvet Fog. Let's see. Come on, number 1. Lemonade and
Brownies.
He went back with Sugar Ray. All right. Well, that album's great because Nicole Eggert's on the cover, like naked.
Well, really, it's great because it has Mean Machine on it.
There you go. Let's see. Who's some of the people on here? Let's see. Tom Selling.
Oh yeah, Tom's a great customer of the store.
He put 3 down here. Some Girls by the Rolling Stones, Dream Police by Cheap Trick, and From the Inside, Alice Cooper. All good albums, all good choices. Ron Perry chose the first Boston album. He went with Machine Head, Van Halen 2, Cry of Love, and Physical Graffiti.
Well, you had some overlap. I'm surprised with it being Ron Perry. I'm surprised he didn't put some of his own albums on his top 10.
Let's see. Dean. We have Dean's list here. That's the Dean's list. I see what I did by accident. Rush, Moving Pictures, George Harrison, All Things Must Pass, ELO,
Great
Out
one.
of the Blue, The Cult, Electric. All these are great.
Yep.
Jason
Yeah,
Isbell, Southeastern, Lucinda Williams, Car Wheels on a Gravel Road, Matthew Sweet, Girlfriend. Yeah. The Cure, Disintegration, Kate Bush, The Sensual World. Yeah. Tori Amos, Little Earthquakes. Yeah, I mean, all great stuff. George Jetson or Jetson George. He's got a list of like 9,000 albums on here. I'm gonna go through this quick.
He's got some good ones on here though.
He
that
does, but
McCartney,
it's way more
Ram.
than 10. He's got the Bob Seger catalog. Yeah, Bob Seger, Live Bullet. Bob Seger, back in 72. Bob Seger, Beautiful Loser. Flo and Eddie, Illegal Immoral. Kid Rock, Cocky. Ted Nugent, Free for All. He's got Blackberry Smoke, Whippoorwill.
Yep.
Alice Cooper, Killer. Deep Purple, Made in Japan. Kiss, Alive. Paul McCartney, Ram.
Great one. That should have been in my top 10 also. I love Ram.
Let's see. Skinner, One More from the Road. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Jay Giles, Blow Your Face Out. Black Sabbath, Paranoid.
Hey, I couldn't help but notice, Mike, you didn't have any Black Sabbath in your top 10.
Because I like Black Sabbath and I like all their albums, but none of them are in my top 10 for a reason. I mean, that doesn't mean that they wouldn't pop up in my top 20. Well, my top 15, I mean, Masters of Reality would definitely be like number 11. You know, that would definitely be 11 or 12 if I had to go.
Spoiler alert, it wouldn't be for me.
Oh, I'm shocked. And you know what wouldn't be number 1 for me? American Beauty by Grateful Dead. You know,
that wouldn't even be in my top 20.
It wasn't in your top 10. It shouldn't be in your top anything. It shouldn't be in your collection. You should throw it out and burn it. How about we do that? All right. Let's see. Who else? John Cowdery.
Josh.
Josh Cowdery. Sorry. The Cure, Disintegration, David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. Green Day, Insomniac. Good one. The Replacements, Let It Be. Ramones, Rocket to Russia, great one. Blue Oyster Cult, Fire of Unknown Origin, nice.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Jawbreaker, Dear You, Blink-182, the self-titled album. Black Sabbath, Paranoid. Modest Mouse, Lonesome Crowded West. Tom Leitner, Born to Run by some dickhead. Back in Black, AC/DC, Europe 72, Grateful Shitheads. Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere by Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Band on the Run, Paul McCartney and Wings. Boys and Girls by Alabama Shakes. Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd. The Cars.
Great one. Yeah, that's a great one.
Great self-titled album. Full Moon Fever by Tom Petty and Running on Empty by Jackson Brown. Londi, who's my cousin, Londi Prendamano, Revolver, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Who's Next? Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Zeppelin 1 or 2. He didn't say
American Beauty.
He says American Beauty. So I did just lose a little respect for him. The Band, self-titled. Hot Rocks and Sticky Fingers by Rolling Stones. Also, Days of Future Past by Moody Blues. And Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? So a lot of good picks on here by a lot of people. So that's awesome.
Band, the self-titled Band album was number 11. It got pushed out for Blackberry Smoke, but that was fair. Definitely right there for me as well.
Let's see, we got Patrick Middlestat throwing things out here. Black Cows. Not the Black Crows, it's the Black Cows. Moo, brother. Black Cows. Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind, good one. And Black Sabbath, Mob Rules. Well, there's brothers in arms there with the fucking Dio. Lots of great stuff, people. Thanks for participating. Really appreciate that. We got our 2 segments left here, and we're gonna call it a day because we're already 2 hours in. Yes. So let's start. We have Discovered and This Song Sucks. We're gonna start with Discovered. We're gonna discuss a song that we like as much, a cover song that we like as much or more than the original. So really quickly for me, I'm just going to throw this out there. I may have mentioned this one before, but I'm not sure. But Anthrax did a really killer version of She by Kiss.
Yes. Yeah, you have talked about this.
Yeah, and you know what? It popped in my head. I was going to go with something else, and this just popped in my head again. I don't remember if I talked about it, but it is really, really good. And if you've not checked it out, go check it out. I believe it was on the Kiss My Ass album.
Yes.
But it's also on
which is the most dated tribute album of all time now.
Oh, it's terrible now. I actually found an original copy, but it was destroyed cover-wise, and they still wanted $60. I'm like, no,
not worth that.
We're not doing that. So that would be my choice for this week's Discovered. What do you got?
What I think is one of the greatest covers of all time. And I'm surprised I haven't talked about this one before, but I referenced a few episodes just to make sure
Yeah.
Thin Lizzy, Rosalie, doing Bob Seger Rosalie.
Oh, there you go.
Especially the version on Live and Dangerous. Deep cut Bob Seger song, but one of the best Thin Lizzy songs. A lot of people know it as a Thin Lizzy song. So Thin Lizzy, Rosalie covering Bob Seger.
Well, there it is. And now, you know what time it is. Are you ready? Oh, it's been a while since we played that one. Oh, but wait, here's another.
Hi there. My name is Unimportant.
I just had to.
That one will never not be funny.
That just had to. But let's see. What else have we got here? No. All right, I can't keep doing it. I can keep playing those all day, but yeah, it's fun. I got to come up with some. I got to come up with some new ones. We got another entry into top albums. Jimmy Sheltered here. Madman Across the Waters in my top 5, along with Alan Parsons' Eye in the Sky.
Well, yeah, both of those are awesome.
Both of those are great. Yeah. What do you got as far as this song sucks?
I got to go with Steve Miller Band, Abracadabra.
No, you do that every week.
Yeah,
All right,
because
stand by. Ah, shit. I'll be right back.
I can't get.
On your own.
I just can't get past the lyric. I want to reach out and grab you. No, I actually do have a pick. I don't know why he went walking off. Mike is so ADD when it comes to doing this show. Gall McCartney says, how about Silk Degrees by Boz Scaggs? Yeah, that's a great one. That's another awesome front-to-back album. Let's all look at Mike's platinum and gold records on the wall from such respected artists as Power Man 5000. Who doesn't want a gold record from Power Man 5000? What the fuck is he doing? I'm unsure what to do now because he walked out before I could do my This Song Sucks. Make sure you subscribe. Mike hasn't done his usual pitch of subscribing. You walked away when I was in the middle of doing my actual This Song Sucks, which I've now lost my train of thought.
Well,
we got
then it
dead
didn't suck
silence
that
here.
much. Now did it?
Go and then come back to me.
Oh God! All right. Well, I had to go to the bathroom so bad because I drank so much liquid before and during the show that it was not going to last any longer. I had to pee, and then since it was just going so long, I actually had to clip it off and like hold it in now, and that way I could finish the show. But it was enough to kind of relieve my bladder, enough where I can finish the show. I'm glad that you all know that now. Let's see. If I had to pick a song that sucked for this week. Oh, yeah. No, that's not it. So people are now texting me and laughing at me because I had to go to the bathroom. That's very mean. That's very mean. I have to say that. So I'm going to pick Time by Pink Floyd.
No, you're not.
I'm not. But I'm trying to kill time until you remember yours because I can't remember mine now because I had to go to the bathroom so bad. Now I got to look it up.
We had like a minute and a half to go. I don't know why you did that.
I would pee my pants.
You've ruined the most important segment of the entire show.
Listen, why don't pick a band? I'll pick a song.
Metallica.
Oh, that's Fixer.
I'll say Fuel.
Both F songs were both given the Fs to Metallica because
They're on
both
the same
of those
record
songs,
too, aren't they?
Yes, and they both absolutely suck.
Both horrible.
Fuel may suck a little less.
Yeah, but that's not saying much, honestly.
No. But Fixer, doesn't it have 3 X's in Fixer?
It does.
Yeah, so like that, it's a triple X Fixer. Oh, we're Metallica. I know they watch the show. And I'm very sorry, guys, but you know, there are 10 people watching the show right now, and they're 4 of them. Actually, Robert's probably not watching. Or
yeah,
James,
he's busy.
Or Lars, or
no, Lars is watching for sure.
Oh yeah, Lars always watches because we always tout how great of a drummer he is.
Yeah, he's outstanding.
Yeah, he should stand outside of every concert they play and have somebody else play drums. You know, it's one of those things where now that we've given out our This Song Sucks because Fixer and Fuel are both going to be really good choices for it. We're done. But let's just take a minute before we all go and how much better of a band Metallica would be if they had a different drummer post 92.
Post 82.
No. I mean, let's give him credit. Like, you know, on Ride the Lightning, you know, and Master of Puppets, he was not terrible. On And Justice for All, his sound was terrible. And
yeah, it sounds like he's playing cardboard boxes.
He's like, you know, James, I just don't like bass. Let's take it all out. Let's take Jason out and any bass in my drum kit. You know, That's basically what happened. I mean, this is the conversation I'm envisioning. Like, he talked to the producer. Yeah, Fleming, listen to the first cut. Yeah, there's too much bass. Or should I lower it? No, remove it all.
Just delete it.
Just delete the bass. Anything below mid-range, we do not want on this album. And therefore, you have Injustice for All.
And Justice for Lars.
And then, like, they put out the box set, and they didn't even remix it with the bass. Like, they're just like, no, we're fucking doubling down. Yes! I want to hear the album with the bass. I know that there's something on YouTube where you can hear it with bass put back in it.
Yeah.
And, like, I want to find that, like, a real copy. I'd love for somebody to have a real copy. I want to have those tracks. Give me those stems and let me remix it. Like
New
myself.
2024 mix from Mike Venezia.
Look, it'll be better than the 1988 mix that we got. So
I want to say to Jimmy Sheltered about I had the same reaction to Abracadabra with Abacab. Abacab is way better than Abracadabra.
It definitely is.
I can show you. I can show you.
Some of the people in my life.
Yes.
And Abacab is, of course, verse A, verse B, verse A, chorus, verse A, verse B.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I believe so.
I always thought it was the chords.
No. What song is A, B, A, C, A, B?
I don't know. It seems like something Mike Rutherford would come up with.
No, I'm fairly certain. I again could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain it had to do with the song structure.
Abacab.
Yeah, I got your Abacab right here.
Yay!
All right, kids, we're done. We will be back eventually with another show. I don't know when. We could do it next week. We could do it in 2 weeks. We can't do it in 3 weeks though. So, but we'll let you know. Yeah, I can't. I mean, we could do it next week. We do it the 28th if you really, really wanted. And whatever date we do it, it's going to be a Record Store Day full-on preview show, and we'll go through a little bit deeper.
It is. Shouldn't we wait until it's closer to Record Store Day when I have the product?
No.
Okay.
No.
This is every conversation we have about this show. It's me going, shouldn't it be this? And Mike just saying no.
No.
But I got my topic finally. 47 episodes in, we finally did the one I wanted to do since day one.
And now, wait. All right, we got 9 people here. What should our topic be? What should our next topic be? Let's do crowdsourcing. What should our next topic be?
Paul McCartney's gonna be like, top 10 Springsteen
best of Fleetwood Mac, top 5. Best albums recorded by wrestlers.
He says at the end.
Yeah, well, he could start and end it. It's sort of like a military thing. Sir, yes, I'll do it, sir. So, best top 5 albums by wrestlers. Not a bad idea, he says. Okay. Yeah, there we go. We got the op in. There we go. He opt in.
Worst 10.
Worst 10. All right, that'll be very subjective and in the worst way possible. And honestly, I got to be honest with you. I keep reflecting back to what Nick Bocott said on this show one time. And it sort of is like, we say it tongue in cheek, and sometimes we don't. When it comes to, this song sucks. In a way, it sort of is exclusionary and it's like mean. And so I don't know if I want to do any worst of shows in general. I don't mind.
I like how this is where Mike draws the line with his.
No, I would draw the line with, best, drum fills by Nick Morocco,
I only got 3
Twisted Tarantulas albums. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't want to do best wrestling intro songs. Obviously, you're all coming up with the best. At least Jimmy tried to come up with a topic. Goldfish. Do a show on new wave of British heavy metal bands from the early 80s.
That's not a bad one.
It's not. That's a thought. that's a thought. But then we should call Lars because he seems to be the authority on it. And
Yeah, listen, when like I heard fucking Diamond Head.
When I first fucking heard Budgie, oh, I got a chubby.
And here's the thing about best wrestling intro songs. Everybody knows number one is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
yeah,
So that nobody would watch that because everybody
Done.
already knows the answer.
yeah, there's just one answer and that's it. How about best albums not recorded by anyone?
My vote is for the Jimmy Hoffa Experience.
Yeah, damn right. We will rise above one day, and that album will be finished. I got like 35 songs that are recorded.
Yeah, it's gonna be like it's gonna be a Grateful Dead box set by the time you put it out.
Except less people will buy it, and that's really hard to do.
Yeah, they're really unsuccessful.
Look, I have a big problem with the Grateful Dead because now everybody that's like a CFO of a company is like a former Grateful Dead like follower, you know, and got miracled and all this other shit. And now they're like CFOs of companies are making billions of dollars and getting raped over the coals over the prices of going to see the Dead at the Sphere.
Yeah, and people like me that actually care about the band can't afford it.
You can't afford it. Did you get your tickets?
No.
Okay.
No, I bailed. There was no way. I wasn't paying that kind of money.
It's like $2,500.
Yeah, that like to be in the back.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, I like Paul McCartney's suggestion, ranking all the years of Dead tours.
Oh, let's rank it by 10 to 1. All right, I could do this for you now. Number 10 is a tie for all of them, and number 9 through 1 are blank. And that's how we do it.
All right. Oh, that Pat's got a good one. Best
new bands or bands within the last 10 years. Shit, that means I got to listen to bands from the last 10 years.
No, there's a handful of good ones. I would.
You know what? You would hate what I would pick because I would put Billie Eilish in there.
I don't have a problem with Billie Eilish. Billie Eyelash.
It's Eilish. Be nice. I like Billie Eilish. I admit that freely. Ace Frehley.
Ace Frehley.
Okay. On that note. Why does it keep repeating? Don't repeat. I don't want it to loop. There we go. All right. So that's it for this episode. We'll figure out what we're going to do for the next time around and when it'll be. I just want to thank you all so much for sticking with us. We had like double-digit people here the whole time.
And what are our subscriber numbers at right now?
We're at 94 subscribers. Hit subscribe, hit like, hit the bell, get all the notifications. We want to get to 100. Once we get to 100, we'll give away something. Exactly what, I don't know, but we'll give away something when we get to 100. So if there's 6 of you out of the 10 that are here that don't know, that have not, do it. We'll get to 100, and then, Nick, you and I will think about what we're going to give away and what we're going to give away.
We'll give away something good. We'll give something good away.
Yes, we will do that. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time and all that other fun stuff. And by the way, make sure that you go check out Nick at what store?
Rock City Music Company.
And where you're located?
5 Mile in Farmington in Livonia, Michigan.
And where can we find you?
RockCityMusicCo.com and all social media platforms.
There you go. We got it in right at the end of the jingle. Thanks, everyone. See ya.
See ya.